guy joining me via Zoom. I've had him on many times. It's a busy time of year, so I feel fortunate. Hugh Freeze, head coach, Liberty, 7-1 Liberty Flames. They are on a bye, but you're a busy man, Coach. I appreciate your time. How you doing today?
Aaron, I'm doing great. Just bye weeks are always a lot more enjoyable when you come off a win than off a loss. So that makes it even sweeter. But doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. And, you talk about not just a win, but I've been reading some of your kind of commentary. So if people don't know, you played BYU. BYU was in the top 25 for a good chunk of this year. And this is no disrespect to their program, but you put it on them pretty good. And you did it in a game where, your starting quarterback's been out. He's sort of back, but he's not really back. You're down to your third, fourth string quarterback, multiple starters out. For people who just it's a busy college football Saturday, take us into last Saturday against BYU and really just frankly, how big it was for you, your team, your program.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there, but you start back 5 decades ago, the vision to start this place and by our founder, Dr. Falwell. And one of the things he said repeatedly in his founding was his vision was that one day we would field a football team here on the mountain in Lynchburg, Virginia, that would play the likes of BYU. And I'm sure many people thought he was crazy. And then not only would we play them, but we would compete with them. And I'm sure that a lot thought he was crazy. So for us to walk in that vision and experience hosting BYU here, and obviously we're an evangelical faith-based university, and BYU to Mormons is the same thing. And we have such respect for them and the way they run their program. Kalani's a dear friend, but to host them here in a first ever sellout crowd, it was packed, people everywhere, standing room only. And so many have heard of this vision. And then for us to walk in it as a staff and players and find a way to play so well, get the win, obviously with our top two quarterbacks out, plus a slew of receivers were out. It was just a magical night, really one of my top 3 to 5 experiences, and to see the number of people that just were overwhelmed with joy because of this victory was pretty dang special.
So in your pregame speech, I thought this was interesting. I saw a video where you said, this is, the preparation doesn't change, but this is bigger and this is different. And that felt like anti-coach speak to me, right? Like coaches, this is we're playing number 1 team in the country. It's no different than whatever. I like that you were just like, no, this is huge. This is why you came here. This is the game you came. Is that, I don't know, where did that come from? Is that normal for how you operate? Because it just felt so anti what most coaches would say in that moment.
Aaron, I want to tell you, man, in the last 5 years, I've learned so much about myself, others, and the way I want to be, what I can control and what I can't control. What pride does to you. I've learned so much, and man, I am so true to myself right now, and I'm so transparent with our players. I tell them when their coach has gotten it wrong, and I tell them when I've gotten it right. I tell them what I learned from each, and I don't want them to experience some of the things that I've experienced. And I just know my players know when I walk in there on Monday. I teach a class every Monday to our players about life.
Sure.
And then I turn our attention to the game, but it's really about life. And I do this. I teach a lesson, and I work on it back in the summers, typically from a book that I'll get, and then I'll teach them real life lessons, because I just think we should be about that as coaches. But I walked in there Monday and started, and I said, guys, I'm gonna put it to you straight as I can. This is the biggest game in school history. And I think if I was anything other than that, I think our players would have said, man, he ain't being true to himself, because they've come to expect that from me. I tell them every Monday, this is a game we should win. This is a game we should lose. This is a game that's a toss-up. I tell them that. And that doesn't mean we're going to lose it. We've won some that we're not supposed to win. And we've won a lot of toss-ups. I mean, our record over the last 4 years here is pretty dang remarkable for just us moving into the FBS world. But so I don't know if that's normal for most coaches, but it's the way I want to operate.
How has the reception from players over the years changed? I mean, we call it the BS meter here in the real world. I mean, do you see players reacting differently when you are just 100%? Hey, this is a big one. Hey, this is one that people don't think you can win. What is the player reaction as you've evolved as a coach?
Well, again, I think initially, the first year, there was probably a lot of mixed bags in there. But now that I've got a group that's been with me all 4 years to kind of set the tone in the locker room, I think when you get a voice in the locker room that team is that coach on Monday and Thursday in our team meetings, and those players are saying, this is him and he's right. Listen to him. He knows how to win. He'll help us win. He'll help you succeed. When you get that going, and we have an incredible culture council of 12 guys that I think allow me to be that way, and that in turn helps when in the locker room they say, no, he's right. You need to listen. And you're out of line there. That's not the standard. And when you get that, I think you've got a chance to win a lot of football games. If you got to have some good players, but when you can have good players and not have culture in your locker room and lose a bunch of games too. And so I think that's the key.
No, I was going to say, so there was an incident, and we don't have to name the school, people probably know, but an incident with, a major program the last couple of days. And I said, on this show, I said, I remember talking to Ed Reed, of all people, Hall of Famer, years ago. And he said, when I was at Miami, he's like, I handled the punishment. He's like, Larry Coker didn't have to worry about a darn thing because he knew that nothing got by me. Two parts to that. How long does it take to create that, like the culture where the players are holding themselves accountable? And then two, I know it's cliche, but every person that I've ever spoken to has told me the best teams, the best programs are player led. How long does that take? I mean, does it take a full 4 years? I mean, how long did it take you to get that to that place at Liberty?
Oh gosh, Aaron. So I don't want to sound, I don't want to sound like I have it figured out.
Sure.
But if you look at my track record, I've been able to do that quickly at every place. So, I mean, go back to my NAIA days. I took over a Lambeth program that didn't win a game the year before. We win 9 in year 1, and then 11 or 12 in year 2. Arkansas State never had a winning season. They had won 6-6, I think, and we went 10 in year 1. Ole Miss hadn't won an SEC game in 2 years. And we rolled in there in year 1 and win 7 games and go to a bowl game and win it. And then here, same scenario, going to FBS, and we go to a bowl game in year 1 and win it. I just think, I don't know. I have a lot of weaknesses, Aaron. I'm not, but I think some people have a gift to point a group of young men in the right direction culturally. And that doesn't mean we're perfect now. Listen, I got a room of 120 in there, and listen, all of them are not perfect. And they're all not going to do it right. And I think it's an unrealistic expectation that you would ever think that you would get 100% buy-in from any team, business, church, whatever. You're not getting 100% buy-in, and it's like I had a guy tell me the other day, there's a whole bunch of hypocrites in the church. I said, yep, we'll move over and make room for you. You can come on in too. But you're never going to get 100% buy-in. The goal for me is always, it's just like in one-on-ones for our receivers, is I want them to win 75% of their one-on-ones. I want to get 75% buy-in. And what really happens when you get that is I think the other 25% start realizing, look, my voice really doesn't matter.
Interesting.
And that doesn't mean you're insignificant as a person, but your voice really doesn't matter. So you either get all in or you get out. And typically they at least become where they may not be all in, but they're not crushing the culture. But you've got to have some leadership in that locker room. And I spent a lot of time in the summer with our culture council saying, it's your team. I can show you how to win. Here's the proof. Here's what my teams have done. All right. I can show you how, but ultimately it's your team. And so what do you want it to be? And we developed that together, sitting in my house every summer. And all right, what's the standard? And how are we going to hold each other accountable? We had a little issue this week, not a major one, but we win a big game, man. We're 7-1, and pride, which I'm sounding the alarm because that's all of our downfall as men is our stupid pride.
Sure.
And I'm sounding the alarm, and we got this locker room's a great first sign. You walk into a team's locker room and look at it, you can probably tell the culture's pretty good here. Or I don't know. Look at those lockers. And so I brought it to our attention on Wednesday practice, and the culture council said, "That's it, coach. You don't have to say another word. We got it." And that's what I think it takes. So I don't know how long it takes. Really, it's better in year 4 than it was in year 1. But and you better have coaches.
Sure.
They better understand this guy. One of the non-negotiables when Freeze hires you is you drive the culture. I set the culture, I set the standard, and if you can't drive it, you're not going to last long with me. And I'm not talking about being perfect, but man, you better not. I can't have double tongued. If we say it's important that your kid's locker is clean and tidy, then by God, you better make sure it is. That's your responsibility. If we say we want to graduate them, then you got to get them across the finish line. And so I think it takes all of that to do it. But in my interview, I'm probably the worst interview guy of a coach that there is.
Just too honest?
Well, no, I go into very little ball because I'm going to do the ball on offense anyway. But I just need guys to be fundamentally really good at what they do. But I spend time are you able? Do you have the capacity to have the mental toughness enough to every single day be sure you are driving the standard of our culture? And that's not easy for everybody to do every single day. And I don't do it. Look, I look myself in the mirror at night some nights and say, you know what? I didn't do a great job in practice today of driving the standard. I got to, but that's to me what integrity is, Aaron. Integrity, it's not always getting it right, or none of us would have it.
Sure.
Integrity is owning what that film says of your life, or what that film says of your game, or what that film says of practice. You have to own it. That's what integrity is, and then make the necessary changes and play the next play. To me, that's what integrity is, and I think our coaches have to have that, along with myself. On, man, are we really driving the culture?
It's so funny. No, I mean, as I get older too, I mean, you just realize everybody. It doesn't matter the job. It doesn't matter this. It doesn't matter that. Everybody has bad days, and so it's just funny for you to say. There's sometimes that even hey, we're 7-1, but I look at myself in the mirror and feel like I didn't have the best, practice, the best game, whatever it was. So I don't know, just life lesson that I've learned along the way.
That's another thing is I do probably differently than I stand before our team on Monday and I tell them how many awful plays I called.
What's the highest number this year? Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, it's 3.
Okay.
And that's 3 too many.
Sure.
And when I say a bad play, I don't mean a play didn't work, or I mean sometimes they beat you, but when I call a play that schematically has zero chance at working during a game, I have not met my standard, and I have let these players down. It happens, but I want them to see the integrity I have to say, and you know what, I got it wrong. And I think it just breeds authenticity and transparency, and it's like, man, that guy, he's going to tell you. I come in the practice field after I chew somebody out, and I'll have to go to him and say, you know what, I was wrong. I didn't see it right on the field. You actually did the right thing.
Do you ever make yourself run laps or up downs?
Push-ups. We don't. I don't like cursing around our program and our young ladies and everybody. So we have a standard for that, and if somebody messes up with that, we do 5 push-ups. That's not one of my great temptations, other than 3rd and long. When a team converts 3rd and long, I don't know why, Aaron, but I want to drop a curse word. And I never curse any other time. I don't curse when I hit a bad shot on the golf course or anything. But man, if you let them complete a 3rd and 12, I want to I want to let loose on one.
It's frustrating as a fan too. If it makes you feel any better, it's frustrating as a fan. What else do you feel like over the last however many years? You said you've evolved as a person, evolved as what else have you learned about yourself, about leading people, young men, all that?
Oh man, I've pretty much touched on the leading of men,
Sure.
just being authentic and real and genuine, and saying, "Listen, here's exactly what I've done and what I haven't done, so and you don't have to worry about trying to decipher from this crazy propaganda world of social media,
Mm-hmm.
and please don't let that define who you are or your self-worth." And I've just come to the conclusion, and I really don't. I'm at peace with who I am and where I am and where my family is, and that's the most important thing. And making sure that, trying to chase people's approval, which I'm guilty at
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss. Um, Man, we don't have time to go through it all, but man, at Ole Miss, I was. I mean, I am Mississippi born and bred, and I returned to my home state and deliver a winner. And boy, I was not prepared to handle all the pride issues that came with that. And it obviously, and now, man, heck, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I would be chasing people's approval. I really don't care what people say, man. There's none of us that don't have some failures or some poor moments or some poor decisions. And those that want to continue to rehash, beat up, put down, I will never understand that mindset. And now I'm just at a point in my life where it doesn't bother me anymore,
Sure.
because I've got the most important people that know me for who I am and love me, and that's my players, my staff, my wife, my kids, my administration, and my friends. And man, I don't know that I could be more blessed as a human being. And so I've just learned to be very authentic and real and genuine with the people around me, and not to worry about the things that I have zero control over, nor chase the next thing.
Sure.
I don't have to. And used to, man, it was just, oh God, what's the
Yeah.
next thing? What's the next thing? And it's kind of refreshing not to be that way.
No, I think that's a type A type person. I try not to be that way, but I think we all are. I have a really good friend who I try to talk some sense into sometimes because it's always the next thing. And it's like, dude, you got two
Live
beautiful
where your feet
kids.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, you got two beautiful, like the job you got is really good. You don't, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, real quick, couple other things. Obviously, look, you're not looking for anybody's approval. I understand that, but make a heck of a statement. You walk into an SEC stadium this coming weekend against Arkansas. I don't know, we're recording here during the bye
Yeah.
week. This interview will run in the lead up to the game. Obviously, I know Sam Pittman's track record, Coach Pittman's track record, and the teams that he has kind of built. But have you had the chance to look at Arkansas yet? And I assume you got to be pretty impressed by, especially the way they run the ball, the physicality, all that stuff.
Yeah, I've watched them all this week, and I mean, we shouldn't win the game. They have better players. They should. They're in the SEC, and they're 85 are going to run faster and be bigger and jump farther and change directions better than our 85. And so that is what it is. And but I'm okay with that. And that's one that I love these opportunities. I think we should embrace it, and we're going to get to go play a fine football team that is well coached and with zero expectations. And we've competed with the likes of Wake Forest, who's I don't know what they are, 13, 12 in the nation right now. I had a legit chance to win that game. I go for two, and that's one of the plays I didn't coach well enough. Or we had a chance to win that game. That's our only loss. So our kids are going to embrace it. They're going to fight it. I mean, and they'll go fight. I mean, we played a very talented Ole Miss team last year, and lost 27-14, but really it was closer than that in the second half had we not had a couple penalties and a turnover. But it is what it is, and we're going to embrace it and look forward to it.
By the way, week after, I don't know if you know this. I went to UConn, by the way. So, the Rentschler Field, the house the Torres built over there in East Hartford. I'm just saying, don't overlook those Huskies either. But I know 1 week at a
Oh,
time. This is
listen.
what. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it will be, but I assure you, I know Jim Mora,
Yes,
and that they're much improved. And
he is.
listen, we've struggled mightily this year at times offensively without our quarterbacks. Now, I think there's a chance we're going to get both one and two quarterbacks back in the next few weeks, hopefully by UConn, if not this week. And hopefully we can start being a little more efficient and consistent offensively.
Last one. By the way, Coach Moore is doing an awesome job there. They're down about 1 million bodies as well. I think they're
It's
3-5.
crazy. I think it's happening to more so this year. We literally without 13 players last Saturday, and I don't remember a time, but it seems like that's I've
Yeah,
never had this issue at quarterback.
yeah.
I've never. The only issue, I mean, I lost Chad Kelly at Ole Miss late in the season, but that's the only starter here. I've lost number one and number two for significant time. I think it's happening more. I don't know if we're training too much throughout the year, or I think there's a lot of things that could be discussed. But anyway, that was off the
No,
off.
no, it's okay. It's interesting. We'll just wrap because it is still your bye week. I think you might want to hit the links after. We're gonna say you're gonna
Yes.
watch film, but no. We tell the truth here.
I've been
We
there.
tell.
I've been there all morning. I've
Okay.
watched it. I've
Yeah.
even scripted practice for Monday. It's all
All right.
done.
Yeah, I was gonna say we tell the truth here on this show, and we tell this
All
is what
done.
I've learned throughout this interview. All right, so you're gonna hit the links. I'm gonna relax because it's my Friday too. You're 7-1. What 4 games left, and the phone calls are gonna come. And I know you're not chasing anyone's approval, but those phone calls are gonna come. I mean, and I know actually I think I've talked to you about this before. On air, on the record, is
Yeah.
that when you have success, people call, and you've talked to your players about that.
Mm-hmm.
When those phone calls start to come in after the season, last couple of weeks of the year, what will go into any process about listening to certain places, not listening,
Yeah.
saying I'm good here at Liberty? I mean, what do you envision the next 5-6 weeks like for you?
Yeah. Again, I talked to my AD and people. They've been so good to me here, and the contracts that they continue to present to me, and our staff is phenomenal, and we're at total peace here. So I've said from the time I got here, it would take something extraordinarily special for me to leave. I have had some phone calls from at least to my agent um, throughout the last 4 years, and a couple this year. I have no clue if that means that someone's really serious about me or not, and I'm okay with that, whether they are or not. But to this point, every single time my response has been, I just really don't have interest, and I don't think that's the right fit. And I kind of in my mind, Aaron, I tell my players, and I don't know that there'll ever come a time when I leave, but if it does, it would be and Jill in my mind. There's only a few that really would say, man, we really want to listen to that because it fits our culture, it fits our location in mind. We're a college town family. I'm not a big city guy. I don't belong there. And if that select few, I do have kind of a list in my mind that if they ever were to have an interest, it'd be something that we certainly would listen to. And I have no idea, even if we listened, that we'd want to leave here. Though it's such a good place on the mountain, and but that's kind of how we'll go about it. But there's very few that we even would take the calls from.
Head coach,
People think I'm crazy, but I literally there's some that I have zero interest in.
well, and to bring it all full circle, right? I mean, that's about learning and evolving in life. Is
Yeah,
you're winning. It seems like you have a great, your family likes it there. It seems like the administration supports you, and it's like,
incredible.
what do they say? Don't try to be happier than happy, or something like that. So,
That
all right,
sounds good. My daughter's my personal assistant. I
yes,
mean, I beat that. And just and the administration here has just been incredible. The fans, the students, our student section is incredible. Our administration, Ian McCall is one of the best men leaders I've ever been around, and just very blessed and thankful.
Hugh Freeze, head coach, Liberty Flames, 7-1. Arkansas this week, UConn the following week. Coach, man, it's your bye week. Go enjoy the afternoon. I appreciate your time, and we will do this at some point in the future. All right.
Aaron, thank you always, man.